Alabama, they're going to have their spring game. We're all watching the quarterback battle. I'll notice a lot of good quarterback battles across college football, man. But Alabama, you got Ty Simpson, you got Keelon Russell, you got Austin Mack. It's interesting when you juxtapose what this year is supposed to be for Alabama offensively based on what they were last year with Jalen Milroe. Because I've been very adamant. I thought Jalen Milroe would be a lot better within that system. I think Jalen Milroe is still a good football player. I don't think he was the right quarterback for that Kalen DeBoer offense. Now with Ryan Grubb as the OC, the priority will be further emphasized, can we throw the football downfield? It's kind of like after you have a relationship that doesn't work out, whether it's you or them, you go look for, in some ways, one of your priorities is, okay, what was one of the number one things that made that relationship not work? What was one of the number one things last year for Alabama that made the offense not work? For my money, it was the consistency downfield for Jalen Milroe. You weren't able to unlock that. So I want to see in this spring game, man, who's able to push the ball downfield most effectively. Now, for Ty Simpson, I need some Groundhog Day kind of vibes from him. Because we've heard all spring, he's been the most consistent. He had the best scrimmage as of late. He looked like an SEC starting quarterback. I need to hear that again. Because good quarterbacks in college football, especially the SEC, they're consistent. You're not worried about what they are when they walk into the swamp or they walk into Death Valley or whatever it ends up being. Like, you know you're getting the same cat every single week. Now, for Ty Simpson, am I getting the same cat every single spring practice? Which you were in practice 8 is awesome, would argue in practice 15. I don't question if he has the chops quite as much based on the intel. I question, can we be consistent here? Can we be consistent? That's what I want to see from Ty Simpson, in addition to pushing the ball downfield. Now, Keelon Russell, I'm just fired up to see how far along he is, because he is the future in Tuscaloosa. Do not get it twisted. He is your guy that you get excited about when you talk about 2026 and 2027 and beyond. I happen to believe that. Now, is he going to be the starter then? Remains to be seen, but I want to see how many early enrollee mistakes the guy makes. Like, he's been on campus. We keep saying it. I'm like, he's still figuring out college life in general. He was supposed to be going to prom right now, which is everyone's favorite line to throw out during spring practice. But, I mean, honestly, it's the truth. Do we see him play college football, or do we see him play high school football in the college football setting, which ultimately turns into some interceptions, some poor decisions? Guy's got all the arm talent in the world. Like, he's going to be special. In addition to that, I'm really curious to see how the staff views him. A little bit of rep science here is what we're going to try and evaluate. I don't know how much we'll get from the Alabama staff in terms of like a clear 1s and 2s and 3s, but do we see Keelon Russell running mostly with the 2s and 3s, or is it like, hey, Keelon Russell got his fair share of reps with the 1s? That'll tell us, I think, what the staff thinks about him right now coming out of spring practice. I'm not going to say it's the way this thing is, for the rest of time until the season, but just kind of a good progress report on the guy in terms of how far he is in that system. Now, Austin Mack, do something, baby. Do something. That's all I'm asking. We picked you before spring practice started to win the job. I don't think the job is locked up by Ty Simpson just yet, but I do think if you want to win this job, A-Day would be a nice place to make your mark, make a statement here. And I'll say this too. I think he wants to do it for himself. I really do. But Austin Mack, do it for us on this show, dude. We believe in you, man. We've been rooting for you. Cato and I have been in your corner, dude. I got a family depending on us here to make some predictions here and make good on some predictions. So Austin Mack, would love to see him ball out. Love to see some flash throws. Love to see us leave the spring game and say, you know what, Austin Mack, dude. Austin Mack, he put himself back in the contention in a different way. He made up some ground on Ty Simpson. I'd love to hear that around Austin Mack, but obviously may the best player win, may the best player play, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly how Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb feel as well. The bottom line is the wide receiver room is far too talented to have a rerun of last year. Far too talented. We talk about Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, like we mention those names all the time, but I mean, I think Jalen Mbakwe will factor in some extent. I think Lazier Brooks will factor in some extent. Isaiah Horton, I think, is going to be a dog for you here in 2025. I think that when you talk about this room in the spring game, you see just a little pop there. I don't think it's a thing where you go for 500 yards through the air, but I do think it's a thing where, wow, hey, that looks kind of reminiscent of what some of those older Bama receiver rooms used to look like. Now, I'm not saying they got 3 first-round draft picks in there, but I do think that there's a lot more horsepower to this whole system offensively. I want to see them rev the engine a little bit. All I'm asking. I don't think that's too much. What does the run game look like? It's tough to gauge the run game in the spring game because there's not like a tremendous amount of physicality like we've said already throughout the show. But I do think that there's some pulls to be taken as to how smash mouth Bama is here in 25. Because we think about the old Washington offense where Keelon Russell and Ryan Grubb were last together that played for a national championship. And we think about the receiver room. We think about Michael Penix. And that's all fair. Y'all, they still had an 1,100-yard rusher on that team. They still made a priority to get north and south. Is there a flavor of that in the spring game? Because I think that's probably what modern college football requires. It's great to be able to air it out and to make teams pay down the field, but at some point in time, you're going to have to be able to fight multiple styles. At some point in time, you're going to run into a game where it's bad weather, you can't throw the ball downfield, and you got to go get your 150 on the ground and win a 17-10 kind of game. Does Bama have that in the bag? And if they do we get a little peek at it here during the A-Day? I'm excited to see. Defensively, I just want to see the temp turned up a little bit. I want to see the pads popping. I want to see, this is a throwback here. For those of y'all that follow all the Bama accounts on social media, you would watch a Bama blowout and see people tweeting something like, joyless murder ball is in full effect here in Tuscaloosa. Murder ball this, murder ball that. I want to see a little bit of just like diet murder ball in the spring game. Let's not hurt anybody. Like murder ball light, would that be too much to see? Just show me the pads are popping. Show me there's that same intensity on defense that Bama's had historically, because they got a lot of talent. That secondary is loaded. Some young bucks we'll get to see in this spring game, hopefully make some plays. But I want to see the attitude, because in a spring game, we keep saying this, but I think it's just so important to drive this point home. Notice how we're not talking all that much about any of these teams having great defensive line play or elite offensive line play. Why? Because you're probably not, going to just go full tilt against your teammate. You're probably going to have a certain degree of let up because you're trying to keep everybody healthy, and it is, after all, practice 15. But you can tell by the way people get to the football the kind of attitude the defense has. I think they have that internally. I want to see 2.0 in this spring game. So predictions here. I think the wide receivers are the story of the day. I think Isaiah Horton is a name that most Bama fans are probably familiar with by way of the portal and what he has been. I've heard he's been lighting it up during spring practice. I think that continues in this game. And I think you leave the spring game as a Bama fan saying, whoa, okay, I don't know how you cover all of them. I don't know how you cover Williams, Bernard, Isaiah Horton, Brooks. Like, I don't know how you check all those guys. We got to have a quarterback to get it to them, but if that's the room, dude, okay, like, God bless whoever we line up against. So the A-Day should be a lot of fun. Really, really excited about the intel, Bama Online, all the coverage, all the notes. Get a membership over there so you don't miss a thing around Alabama.